You're listening to the Love Unplugged podcast, episode 26. Today is all about the feels. We dive deep into the personal journeys and experiences my guests have had, but also how you can create a healthier mindset, overcome the negative self-talk that we often experience so that you can achieve your goals and dreams, and how networking can benefit you personally and professionally. So get comfy, grab yourself a cup of organic tea, and get ready to hear some inspiring real-life experiences. You are listening to Love Unplugged, a podcast focused on love in all its forms. I'm your host, Jessica Frigon, hopeful romantic and founder of Project Love. I found that too often love is set aside or taken for granted, and we tend to forget how to care for ourselves and our important relationships in the day-to-day chaos. So let's slow down, tune in, and begin our journey of rediscovering love. From honest heart-to-heart conversations with real couples and knowledgeable guests to deep dive reviews of new products and services that will help you feel beautiful inside and out. If you're looking for relatable advice or wanting to be inspired by real-life love stories, you've come to the right place. Without further ado, let's get to it. Hello, friends. Today I am joined by the lovely ladies behind Project You. Megan Ayres and Chelsea Burwash have created a community where women can come together to achieve greater self-confidence, which we all need, how to face their fears and be able to fully express who they are from the inside out, which I just love, but also to speak their truth without judgment and to share their experiences. I think we all need a place like this in our lives because as women, I feel like we tend to hold things in, which we shouldn't. We should be able to express that so that we know we're not alone and we can learn from each other. So welcome, Chelsea and Megan. I am so honored to have you guys as my guests, and I'm so excited to learn all about your stories and your business. But before we start, for those that don't know you yet, I'd love for you to share a little bit about who you are.
Nice. Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. This is so fun.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'll go first.
Start, girl.
Okay, I'll start. Yeah, so my name's Megan Ayres. I grew up in a very small town in Ontario, actually. But I've lived in BC for like over 6 years, which is crazy. And I live here in Port Moody because my fiance's business is based here, which is Grant Cardone, Canada. And yeah, now I kind of work as a consultant, but we'll talk more about what we do throughout the podcast. And that's pretty much about me. And I love cats.
Love cats?
And dogs.
Okay.
But right now I'm like into like Persian cats, and then I want one.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I didn't know you were a cat person. I don't know if we can be friends now.
Oh no.
Just kidding.
Cats freak me out.
Yeah.
It's only because I'm obsessed with Camila's cat. It's so cute. Yeah.
There are certain cats that will kind of change your mind a little bit, but yeah.
I haven't found one yet, but
I'll keep the cat talk on the down low.
So my name's Chelsea Burwash, and I'm a dog person. I just got a little puppy named Bentley. He's 7 months old, and he's so cute.
What kind of puppy?
He's a Shih Tzu Maltese mix.
He's cute.
And he's really freaking cute. That's awesome. So I'm just going to start with that. I'm married to my husband, Chris Burwash. He was my junior high sweetheart.
So cute.
First boyfriend, first kiss, all at 12 years old when we met.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool love story. We're both from Winnipeg. But somehow our families both ended up in BC at different times. I came out here in 2001 and moved to a small town on the Sunshine Coast called Powell River when my mom got remarried. And that's where I graduated high school. And I graduated high school. I moved to Vancouver, to the big city, and I went to college. I went to Cap College back when it was a college. So
I went there too.
You did? Yeah, what did you take?
Law stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great school.
I liked it.
But
I
I was
liked that
like-
it was so far away and kind of in this little...
Yeah. It wasn't as intimidating as like one of the bigger campuses,
Yes.
but they had like really great teachers, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I have a daughter named Alyssa. She's 7 years old. She's the light of my life.
Cute.
And now I'm the owner of Project You, so that's what occupies the most of my time professionally.
Nice.
I love being outside. I love nature. I love anything with health and wellness. So that's kind of where my passions lie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. I want to know what inspired the creation of Project You.
Okay, cool. I'll take this one.
This is a question for you.
Makes sense. Yeah, well, kind of like what I mentioned, I moved out to BC. So I actually took a job at Fairmont Hotels and Resorts, which was super fun. I got to be a retail buyer, which is really, really cool. And actually, Chelsea also has like an inspiration or passion for retail buying, which is funny. We're so much alike. And I just didn't really know anyone. And so I was like super excited. I wanted to get connected. I wanted to find people who wanted to like do more with their lives, who were just like interested in exploring like their potential and getting to know themselves better on like a mental, physical, and spiritual level. And I actually had taken a course, which is Landmark, which I'm sure quite a few people would know. And there's part of the course which asks you to do a project in your community that like, makes an impact. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And it was like so much fun. It's called like Self-Expression and Leadership was the name of the course.
Wow.
So it actually came from a course, the idea. So I came up with this idea to make a project that was like all about you and helping like women kind of find their best selves. And yeah, it kind of just like went from there. And I didn't even expect it to like turn into a business, which is crazy. I had asked a lovely lady named Karen, who I met once. I met her through Fairmont actually, because she owned a brand that I was buying from her for the store. And I just said to her, I'm like, hey, you seem really cool. Like I have this idea to like start a business. Do you want to like help me? And she was like, yeah, like that sounds awesome. Like I would love to like help women be more confident. And so she came on board, and her and I just planned the first event, and it sold out. And
Wow.
then we just had no idea. We're like, what are we doing? Who knows? But let's just do it. And we had some awesome speakers. The first event, like Samantha Skelly was there, the founder of Elate Cosmetics. Yeah, so it was really, really awesome, and it was so much fun. And then we just kept rolling with it, and it turned into a business. So
That's amazing, because usually when someone is starting events or things like that, you know, you hear of stories where like the first one was like 5 people and like 2 of them were their parents or like something like that. So for it to sell out, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You found something in the community that was missing and that people needed, which is awesome.
yeah, like people were blown away. I think there was 55 people, like we were at capacity.
Wow.
But just no one was doing anything like that. Like, and that was, I think, the really like unique like selling point of the company was like the mission was like working on yourself and like boosting confidence. It just wasn't about like business or, you know, other tools to implement into like growing your business basically. Like no one was really talking about those like personal details. So it was like right before like the trend of all of that kind of like starting to happen. Yeah, and I remember we used to be like, oh wow, like we started noticing like after we started using the word you, it started popping up in like so many different campaigns online, and we're like, we're on to something. So yeah, it's been like, that's where it started.
I love that because like there's so much focus on business and how to create a successful business and whatnot, but you need to grow as a person in order to be able to run a successful business. It's like an evolving process, right? You learn so much about yourself starting a business, and it triggers so many things that you didn't even know were there. It's amazing what you can learn about yourself and what you need to heal from the past or what you need to evolve and whatnot as a personal, as a person. Sorry. So I love that you created a community that focuses on that aspect.
Yeah, totally, right?
That is awesome. So what is the vision for Project U?
Basically, it came at a time where I had just decided to kind of stop doing another business that I was doing. I owned a consignment company, and that's how I met Megan. So yeah, I was doing that for a few years, and it was great, but it was really challenging. I made a lot of mistakes. It was the first business that I had ever done, and I kind of just decided that I wasn't going to do it anymore. It was I wasn't really willing to do what I needed to do to take it to the next level, and so I decided to take a yoga teacher training because I wanted to work on myself. I wanted to do some inner work and find out what it is I really wanted to do with my life, and I really wanted to just figure out who I was. Like, it's something that I really struggled with, trying to find a purpose and like, what is it all for? What is it all about? So it came at, and right as soon as I was done my yoga teacher training course, Megan was kind of stepping back from the business. And the opportunity had come up that she was looking for someone to maybe host a couple morning events. So I didn't want to commit to too much. So I said that I would host a couple morning events, and that's kind of how it started. But I had been praying for a sign. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, please tell me, like, show me a sign. Every time I pray for a sign from the universe, I'm shown something, right? So it's just like paying attention to those signs. And that's right when the opportunity came about to start to take over Project U. And it wasn't really something I was looking for, but I just decided to kind of jump in with 2 feet and just go for it. And so for me, like the vision for Project U, it was kind of like the reason that I did it was because I wanted to start overcoming some of those fears and just like seeing what I was really capable of. So that's kind of like what's been driving me. But like Megan said, it's like there's been so much more than I actually expected. Like everybody that comes to the events is always telling me like how much of an impact the events are having on them. Everybody's leaving feeling good and uplifted. And I just want to share the types of feelings that I had when I started going to Project U, because it honestly like really changed my life. Like I was somebody that really hated networking as well, and I was like had tons of social anxiety, and Megan had supported me through my business, so I really wanted to support her and go to her events, and so I went solo. Yeah. And I think it was like the high tea.
She did.
I was so nervous. Like I almost like didn't go, right? Like I almost talked myself out of going. But I just went, and it was kind of awkward because I was like, I don't know who to talk to. Like I don't know what to say. And like usually people do go with someone else, right? So they have a buddy or something. So that was kind of the first thing of like stepping out of my shell.
Yeah.
And so for Project U, like I just want to continue to inspire and support other women and just like help them with anything that they're struggling with, and just like let them know that there are people out there that care and that want to help them, because I really do want to see everybody win.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
So good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're passing the reins off to Chelsea. What has that transition been like for you guys?
I feel like it's gone like really well, like better than expected. And like what kind of Chelsea kind of mentioned already. So like in the beginning, I was like not totally sure. Like I'm like, okay, do I want to like have someone run this and still be a part of it, or do I want someone else to like own this? And I think I was like in a place in my life where I was changing, and like Chelsea said, like it did so much for me. So many girls who worked on the team are now like doing other things because of the project. That's like the biggest impact. I think it's like you get a chance to like try out all of these different things and get confident, and it can take you like wherever like you ever dreamed. Like you can just meet someone through the event, and then all of a sudden you're on this other path, and it's just so amazing. So I kind of just like made the decision. And the funny thing is so many people were like, how could you sell your business? Like that's your baby. Like I could never do that. Like I got so much of that. And I was like, oh wow, like I guess, you know what I mean? Some people would be like afraid to like give it up, or like what would someone do with it, or would they make it better? Would I like be upset? But I just felt like really certain. I was like, you know what, I've gotten like a lot out of this. It's totally transformed my life, and like I really want someone else to like have this experience, because like I know it does like good for people, and I know that it can like make you really happy and make you like a different person. And so I just like had chatted with Chelsea, and we talked, and we just came to the decision that it was like the best if she just like owned it and could be like fully committed, because I do believe if you're not like 100% committed, things don't work out. And so if like you're half in, it's kind of like, you know, you're not like all the way like 100%. And it's been amazing. Like we've worked so well together. Like we knew each other a bit through me purchasing clothing from Chelsea before, and we were definitely friends, but we weren't like best friends. And now I feel like we're like best friends, and I think it's been seamless. Like I couldn't agree.
It's been amazing. Yeah. Like Megan is like just somebody, you know, like she like, I know, like I really want to see people win. And the reason is like when I met Megan, she's somebody that really, really wants to see people win. And she will like do anything to support any other woman in anything, because she just like really wants to help people, you know, and I've never kind of been a part of a community like that before. And I've never really seen how women want to support each other until I started to get involved with this Project U. And Megan really believed in me. And so I wasn't really fully committed. And I don't think I've I'm not somebody that's really like committed to things in life because I always want to kind of have that way out.
Just
so I'm
in
like,
case.
well, maybe, like, but I won't sign up for it yet. But like, if I can come, I'll come. But it's so true. Like, if you're not 100% committed, you're not going to do it. And then you're always kind of in the back of your mind, you're like, well, at least I have this exit strategy, or I can just quit, right?
Exactly.
So.
Like, made me emotional.
I know.
But it's like so true though. Like, it's so cool for me too to just like be a part of Chelsea's journey, because I've seen like from day one, like she's so different. Like, really, like she's just like out there hosting the events, like so confident. Like, it's amazing, and I just think of like all the people you've got to meet, and like it's just really cool, and I think there's like a lot of space for everyone. And so I hate when people I think it's natural sometimes we compare, like, come on, like, I do that too. I'm not, like, everyone does, right?
Come to that.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, I have to check myself and be like, no, like, this way of thinking is ridiculous. And then you just, like, move yourself forward, right? Like, your actions really tell, like, what kind of person you are. And so, yeah, like, it's just really cool. Yeah, it's been
Like,
fun.
we were talking about this,
Yeah.
like, there is enough success and abundance in this world for everyone to
Yes.
succeed, right? And just because someone else is succeeding doesn't mean they're taking away from my success, or it doesn't diminish what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, that's just kind of what I want to spread as well. And it's like, Megan has been coaching me, like, every step of the way, because I didn't have any experience hosting events, event planning. Like, none of this is my world, but, like, everything that I was like, well, I don't know how. And she's like, that's okay. Like, let me walk you through it. And she's just been like showing me like what she's done, what's worked for her. And then also just giving me like the flexibility and the space to like do it my way, or like to figure things out on my own. And so that's been super empowering for me.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Quite the feels this morning.
Oh, it is. We're like soul sisters.
It's true.
Awesome. But it's just a testament to everybody who's listening that, step outside your comfort zone, push yourself, and be open to other opportunities, because you never know what it might lead to.
Yeah.
You might meet somebody at that event, or, wherever you're going, that might open up another door that you didn't even think was even available.
Yeah.
Wasn't even an option. And then it leads you down this other path that just is such like a wonderful thing, right? Just like this. So just be open. Always be open. You never know.
I love it.
And when there's that community in that space and you're talking about like real issues and like things that are like going on for you, and you're being vulnerable and authentic, that's how you can really connect with other people, because a lot of people are experiencing the same things as you, but you don't think that. You think that you're the
so
only
true.
one, but then you realize like, no, like there's a lot of people that have these feelings, and it's okay. And like when you start talking about them, then that's how you can kind of like move through them, right? And just like realize that they're just thoughts and feelings, and they're not necessarily real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So why exactly have you decided, Megan, to step away from this business?
Yeah, okay. Good question. Well, for me, so it was like last year. So around like October and November, I just was kind of figuring out like what I wanted to do and what was coming next. And so my fiance, his name's Corey Aliyev. He owns like the Cardone business here. Grant Cardone Canada, and his own company, Yesa. And so his business was expanding like at a rapid speed. And so for us, like I was always, to be honest, like doing my own thing, and he was like in his own lane. And so we weren't really like merging together, and I kind of just had to make a decision and like look at my life and be like, okay, what is it that I'm doing right now? Like, is this relatable for people? Like what you said, like are couples trying to figure out like how to work together? Like how are people managing their like finances? Like how are like they raising a family? How is their home life like together? Like how are they making everything work? Because I think like in the society we live in, most people, like both husband and wife work, or the woman doesn't just, I think I actually really love like the home life activities, but sometimes we are craving more. So it's like, how can you be productive and balance, everything, so you feel like you are achieving your goals as a woman in the relationship, but also helping your partner achieve their goals. So I was like, okay, I feel like this is like a good business idea. But I also wanted to really be more aligned with my partner. That's also like one of the big reasons. I just wanted something that didn't take away from like our time together, and that I could document while I was with him. So that's kind of like what inspired this new chapter, and I was like, okay, how's this all gonna like work out? Because obviously like Project U is amazing. So I was like, there's some way this can all work. Like I wasn't really like being fearful of that. I was like, okay, this will all be good. And so then I came up with the idea of like the modern day wife. I actually was sick when I got this idea. I had my appendix out, like I randomly got sick. This is like a whole other story. So I was lying in bed with like Corey and we had been watching like Dirty Dancing and then this I was
my favorite movie.
yeah, right? It's so good. We've been watching like I was just like and I was so bummed because I was such like a person like that's always like doing stuff. And so when I randomly got sick I was like, oh shit, like this is this, excuse my language. Like this came out of like nowhere. I was not expecting this. I'm like at Costco and I'm like feeling ill and I'm like, oh, I'll be good. Like, you know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, no, you're getting your appendix out. So I remember just being really sad because I was like, I had to like get over that. But like I had one day where I was like, I can't do anything. Like this is so boring. You know what I mean? And then like, oh, little did I know my world was like gonna change this year. But anyways, so I got the idea when I was like lying in bed. And so I like instantly saved the Instagram handle because I'm a firm believer like when you have an idea, like write it down or do something with it because like usually these come from like your like greater soul.
Commit to it.
Right? Exactly. So I like told Corey the idea. He's like, that sounds good. So I was like, okay, I saved it. So I had like the intention of starting it sooner and then my like fiance got like chronically ill. So this whole year he's been like sick and that's been like a whole other story, but we won't go there like now, but that's kind of like how it started. And so then that's when everything just kind of went the way it did. Chelsea took over. Things have kind of been on a pause for that project, but I still definitely am like very excited to do it because I think again it's like what Chelsea said, like it will really help people. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Always new experiences.
I know. You never know what's around the corner.
And you just got engaged.
Yes,
Congratulations.
I did. Yes. So that was like another thing too, because like I thank you so much for the congrats. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not like a wife. Like people are gonna be like, you know, I've had that like chatter, but then so many people are like, well, people are a common law, you know, and there's different. I think we can change like the persona of that word, which is really cool. But now I'm engaged, so I'm like, okay, I guess it kind of is more fitting with the brand.
You're going to be a wife now.
Yeah, right.
It's perfect timing.
Right? It's like it works out.
So I'd love to talk about your personal journeys now. Let's get personal.
Oh.
So given the topic really of what Project U offers, I'd love to talk about your own personal journeys. So what has been your experience with coming into your own, you know, figuring out how to overcome fears, how to gain self-confidence, and any obstacles that really come along your way, but also how to nurture the relationship you guys need to have with yourselves. So whoever wants to start first, I want to hear all about this.
Cool. You go ahead. You start.
Okay, that's like a fully loaded
I know.
question.
I'm gonna think about it because like there's been like where do I even start? There's struggles.
Okay, so like my struggles, how I overcame them, and what I need. This is kind of the question. Okay. Okay, there's been so many. Like when I first started Project U, there would be events and I would cry before them. Like, to be real, like we had our anniversary party, like our first year anniversary party, I remember crying. Just because like you self-doubt, like you're like, oh my God, I have to host this event. Well, I can't do it. Like, what if people don't like me? And I remember in the beginning, I would never like really, I would just ask the question. I'd be like, you know, blah, 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 and like
Facilitator.
like right, I wouldn't like actually share because I didn't think that like what I had to say was of value. So I had like a lot of like personal like self-doubt. Like I was actually like quite shy. But the thing is like I think it's like comes with practice. Like that's so true. Like, you know, I think that there's like deeper reasons why, like, you know, we have anxiety and fear and those type of things. But I think like the biggest thing that I could say to anyone and even for myself is like get yourself a goal, like have a purpose and just like continually show up and practice, because like when you do those things, you can like get over that hurdle. So that's been like the biggest thing for me. Like even too with Instagram stories, I remember I would like film them and delete. Like I would just always like never want to post that. I'm like, oh my God, like I suck. Like I can't do this, you know? And also like learning the right people to be around has really been helpful. Like even in who you do business with, like there's been times where there had been people maybe on our team that like, you know, were always being negative or like put ideas down, and like that can really affect your own confidence.
Yeah.
I also like didn't always believe that like my own ideas for like the topics were like good enough. So I would like reach out to like other people like on our team or try and like include everyone's ideas, but that created like a lot of problems because then you go against like your own personal values to like accommodate other people, and then you don't feel good about them. So that's like with Chelsea too. I always say to her, I'm like, what do you want to do? Because like, you know, like that's really important because you need to be sold and it's coming from like you're the source for the project. So I think those were things that I like really had to like work on and like learn. And like now for me, like for self-care, I really try to just like think about things before I like do them. Like I feel Karen, who started the company with me, would actually gave me this advice in the beginning. She's like, you don't always have to say yes to like every coffee date or like yes to like every networking event. Like there's room to say no. And like that for me has been huge because I think that everyone's amazing. Like everyone has great values and stuff, but you really have to pick like the alignment, like what's really aligned, like what really makes the most sense. And like your time is like the most precious and valuable thing. So it's like, how do I like use my time? Like how am I exchanging my time? So like now I'm just like really particular about those things because I just don't want to like waste it because I want to spend time with my family or just like with me. So I try to do that, and I make sure like my mornings usually are filled with like going to the gym. I know you love that too, Chelsea, and just like taking those like more downtime like when I can. So it's like really, really important. Yeah.
Have you always felt like you had a really good relationship with yourself, like growing up?
Yes and no. Like I was definitely like, I don't know about you guys, like super bullied like in school and picked on. Like, yeah, I mean, I think kids are just kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like we all go through those stages. Like I had like gap teeth, like I obviously had braces, like all those things, but those things are hard like as a child too, right? Like when I don't know, I was really like warm and genuine and like loving as a kid, and I always wanted everyone to be happy. And you know, I think that's like when people are like that, that's like room for a bully, and it definitely like knocks your self-confidence. So I would say like no, like I think I was like probably more confident like in my early 20s when I was like out kind of like going to college, achieving my goals. And then like mid-20s I think were hard because I started to work corporate, and to be honest, in corporate there's a lot of like I hate to say that, but like, you know, there are a lot of sometimes people or bosses that are not like the most uplifting, and it's much like a get the job done now, and if it's not done right or someone's upset, they take it out on you. So it really, really like crushed my confidence in some areas. So I think like just by focusing on, how do I say this? Focusing on myself and taking time to like work on myself, like that's the reason why I'm like so stable.
I definitely can resonate a lot with that story, you know, I wasn't bullied in school like a lot. I guess it's more so just moments.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a constant type thing, but there was definitely moments throughout elementary and high school that really had an impact on me. And then again, coming into the corporate world, I mean, there are moments with certain people. There's always going to be people. There's always going to be people like that in every organization. It's just going to happen, and you know, those types of moments with those people can really have an impact on your self-confidence and you know your belief system and whatnot. And it can really kind of create triggers that you're just not really aware of. So I definitely resonate with that, because for me, having difficult conversations has always been like an area that I struggle with because of that.
Yeah.
So it's something that I have constantly to work on, or like confidence and stuff like that, and not second guessing myself and things like that. So I totally resonate with what you're saying.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think environment can be like huge for like how you perform
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what about you, Chelsea?
Where do I start? So my story is a lot different than Megan's. My husband and I have both struggled with addiction in our life. So from a very young age, I used drugs and alcohol to kind of numb myself out from those feelings of, from a very young age, like not feeling good enough, not feeling like I belonged. Like I guess feelings of bullying too, but then instead of just like, I think I would get like really angry, and then I was kind of like a fighter, and I was like really resentful, and there was so many things like going on with me that I just didn't know how to deal with. So yeah, I just used like drugs and alcohol to kind of like escape from that.
Yeah.
And it has caused a lot of problems in my life. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I think like a lot of the self-doubt and the fear that I have today is results from like a lot of the shame and the guilt from all of the things that I've done in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really talk about it very often, but it is a big part of my story.
Yeah.
So my husband now, like we have a 7-year-old daughter, and when I was pregnant, she wasn't planned, but my husband got sober from the day I told him I was pregnant.
Amazing.
And now he owns addiction housing, and he helps like hundreds of people recover from addiction. So he has 3 different businesses, and he started with one, and I'm just so proud of him.
Honestly, no, I think it's amazing that you share, because there's so many people that can probably relate to your story, you know?
Yeah. So it's kind of scary, because it's like like if you share on a platform like this, like when it's out there, it's out there.
It's out there.
And like people that I know what's going, like who I am and like my story and stuff, but there is a lot of stigma, right? And not only with business, but because I have a daughter and where she goes to school, like I just never want any of the parents to like hold that against her and maybe not feel safe having their kids over at our house, or, just have it affect her in that way. So yeah, there's a lot of like conflict, like I want to be vulnerable and I want to be authentic, but it's also like I'm always a little bit, what's the word? Like nervous or
Yes.
Careful about how much I share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally understand that. That's definitely difficult to go through. I can only imagine what that's been. But both of you have come out of it such different people, and those are just things that happen. They're not who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a result of what you went through in your life, but that doesn't define who you are.
Yes.
Right? So you kind of came into your own working with now Chelsea, creating Project You and all that, and your husband who's helping other people that have gone through similar things. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be able to help so many people because he knows what it's like. He's been there.
He does,
right?
yeah.
So he can speak from a place that they will also resonate with.
And I'm so like he's overcome so much. So like we both struggled, but like he was like basically like living on like Hastings. Like he was somebody that like wasn't supposed to be where he is now, and he's like very successful, but his like mission is like so much bigger than him, and he works his ass off, right, to help other people, and his whole life is dedicated to helping other people recover from addiction. And so like the role in our family from like day one was like I was so on board with helping him like kind of achieve his goals and support him in everything he does. But when I had my daughter, it was like, okay, like this is what it's all about. Like I was like the happiest time of my life raising her, and yeah, she's just like such an amazing child, and she's never had to see her parents like in that state, and she's kind of like our little angel baby. So yeah.
It's so like that moment was like just life-changing for you.
It was life-changing.
And like that's so incredible. She's so cute.
She's so cute.
It's hard when you're in that place to look at it from a different perspective. Like you're looking at it from like you're ashamed of what you did and all that stuff. But you should be proud of who you became, right? Like everything that happened in your life, whether it's good or bad, is shaping you for who you're going to be, right? So all those experiences is what has made you who you are today, and you're able to show up for other women and help them come into their own, which you shouldn't be ashamed or not proud of everything that you've gone through. It's made you who you are, right? So you're helping other people, which is awesome.
Yes, and I've definitely done a lot of work too, right? So it's like, but there are still, like you're talking about struggles, like it's not like it's like, okay, I'm cured, like everything's good now, because like there's different, like it kind of creeps up at different times, right? But it's always like, I struggle a lot with those thoughts that come into my head that still tell me I'm not good enough, like that everybody else knows what they're doing and I don't know what I'm doing, and who do I think I am, like I can't do this, right? So I think the struggle is not letting those thoughts kind of take over, because if you let them take over, then like nothing gets done, and you can like get in a really bad headspace, and you can get to a really dark place. So for me, like what Megan's kind of taught me is to like stay in action. Right? So you can have those thoughts and you can still just keep going. And like that's kind of how you develop self-confidence, I think, is by doing esteemable things, and by helping people, and by doing things that, you're not necessarily ready for, or that you're kind of scared of. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of prove to yourself who you are and what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Yes.
And really, you could do anything. Like there's no limits on what you can do, on who you can become. You can be anybody, and you don't have to, like you said, like you don't have to define yourself from your past mistakes, or like who you were yesterday. Doesn't matter. Like today's a fresh start, and there's infinite possibilities, and it's like you just have to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
I love that you talked about thoughts, because I just finished reading Mastering Your Mean Girl by Melissa Amberghini.
Sounds like a fun topic.
Well, it's that voice that's constantly telling you you're not good enough. Why are you doing this? Nobody's going to show up for you. Like you don't know what you're talking about, or like anything like that. That is just that negative self-talk that you're having. She calls it your mean girl, which I just love. There's not a better word for it.
Yeah.
Right? But she talks all about how to overcome and kind of stop that chatter going on, right? Because it's not real. Like it's not true. None of that is true. Nothing is impossible, right? You can totally achieve anything you set your mind to. There's always a way to figure it out, right? I love that.
Yeah.
So what has been your biggest struggle, and how have you overcome it?
Oh my gosh. I feel like that last question was like kind of like sum that up. Oh. Okay.
You go ahead.
Well, I think like, okay, I'm like, just as a general topic too, I think like following through on like your own purpose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I was somebody who's always like chasing, like previously I was like, I'm gonna go here and do this. I'm gonna go here and do that. Or like just kind of like that coming into your own of like not comparing, I think is like really big. And just like being like, you know what? They're doing that. That's great. I'm gonna stay over here. Like there's so many distractions out there, like so many. Like you see someone starts this new business idea and you're like, shit, I should have done that.
Yes.
Or like you see someone who's like accomplished something amazing and you're like, oh, if I had stuck to my path, I would be there. And then it's just kind of like forgetting about all of that and being like, this is all my purpose plan. This is what I'm following, and I just have to like trust and like wake up every day and just keep going towards that, and just like continually, like Chelsea said, and even I've been trying to practice it more lately, like just show up, just like stay in action. Don't like don't take yourself out of the game, really. Like, and I've even been trying that, like, it's so silly, but with like Instagram, like there's some days where I'm like, I don't want to do this. I do not want to share. I don't want to post a video. I don't want to go on here right now. But I'm like, you know what? Like, no, this is like something I want to like master, like that self mastery. So just like really like staying true to that and like forgetting about what else is going on.
Staying consistent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like that's totally it. Like just like show up, just keep showing up. And like honestly, like that's what's really helped me lately. Like I used to have breakdowns all the time, and like Chelsea said, it takes you out for like days. It's like I'd like cry in bed like all day, like ah! And I'm like, holy, like what a waste of time. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so now I'm just like I don't have time for that. I think if you actually like put that as like a thing, it becomes real, and you just don't do it.
It's so hard going on Instagram, seeing what everybody is doing, and then you're like crap, I should be doing that. No, I need to do this, or I need to add this to the thing, and blah, blah, blah. Like, just get rid of all that chatter, right?
Yeah.
Forget what everybody else is doing and just figure out a plan that you want to achieve and then stick to it.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can add to it here and there, but stay focused on your goals, right?
Yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, and like I think everyone always has like an opinion too.
Oh, yes.
Like-
Everybody has an opinion.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, like, and you're just like, sometimes you just have to like, I think if there's, I'm not saying people's advice doesn't matter. I think it's like it's
a grain of salt.
right? Exactly. But it's like thinking about like, does that like actually resonate with me? Like before, I used to take everyone's opinions at face value, which is like also really like can be like really debilitating because you start to like, you know, have all this like false ideas about yourself and what's going on. And so now I just like actually have to like evaluate that. Because, like, even my boyfriend or fiance said something last night to me, and I was like, no, like, look at, you've just made an evaluation. That's not where I was going with that. And he was like, shit, I did do that. I was like, yeah, like, you just have to watch that. Like, everyone wants to, like, evaluate. And sometimes, like, no, you're not right. That's not how I feel, you know? And that's not what's going on.
Yeah.
But, like, you can just smile and say thanks. Like, it doesn't have to become, like, an argument or anything. But you just, like, you don't invalidate the other person because that's the reality. And you own what feels right for you. And that's like also was a struggle for me because that's what would make me feel unsure and insecure before. So
You don't have to take in everything that everybody else says.
Exactly.
Right? Digest
Exactly.
and then move forward with what you feel aligns with yourself.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Staying consistent, that's like one of my biggest things. Like, because when I'm feeling good, I'm like, I could do anything. Like, I'm accomplishing so much. Like, I'm killing it. And then, like, I'll wake up the next day and I'll be like, oh my God, like, I'm like paralyzed and I can't do anything. And then I'm like, what is going on? Like, why am I like this? Like, so just like Megan said, like, staying consistent and just like don't allow yourself to kind of go there. And also, like, what's been really like challenging for me since I started Project U, which I'm getting much better at, is because we do a lot of asking, right? So I'm like, we ask a lot of people for things and it's hard not to take it personally when they say no, right? So like before I was like, what do you mean? Like, I have to call somebody and ask them for something? Like, I have to keep calling people and asking them for stuff for free? Like, why are they going to give it to me? Like, they're not going to give it to me. And then if they say no, like, it's like, oh, they don't like me. Like, they don't like me. Like, I'm such a loser. Nobody's going to give it to me. Like, why would they do this? And then I started just kind of being like, I started to realize that it's not like a personal thing. Like, it's not like they're saying no because they don't like me. They don't even know me, right? So it's just like, if it's not a good fit, then that's okay because there's so many other people to ask out there and that will be a good fit, right? And like, the more no's you get, like, the closer you get to a yes. Like, it's like that cheesy saying, but it's so true, right? It's like a numbers game. And then I started to really like think about, I'm asking them for something, but it's also going to benefit them. So like when I started to really like believe and see the value that it had for them. So like if I'm asking someone to be a vendor at an event that I really want there, they're getting a lot of value out of it. So like, yeah, they're like helping my business, but I'm also helping their business because I'm getting them out in front of the consumers and like our target audience and getting them noticed, right? And so that's huge. If you're in business, like you need to be out there, like you need to be seen.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right?
Awesome.
Oh, 100%. High five.
Yeah.
Killing it.
We all feel that when
Yeah.
we're putting ourselves out there and then we get shut down or they just don't respond. Things like that. I totally feel you on that one.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
It just I always take it now as it's not meant to be right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And I always try to remember that I'm not the first thing on their mind. I'm not the priority on their plate. They have a whole crap load of things that they need to accomplish in their business, tasks that they need to get done, personal lives, and maybe they just don't have time for it right now. Maybe they just don't have the money to be a vendor at this time, right? Like things like that. So it's definitely like changing your mindset.
Totally.
It's so hard not to take it personally when it's your baby, right? It's your business and you're really trying so hard and working so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all feel that.
And also like putting the work in too, because like if you just like send out an email and they don't respond, you're like, oh, they didn't respond. But like there's so much like they're inundated with so many emails and calls and so many things. Like sometimes we have to call somebody 5 times before we finally get them like you know, like before we can finally, they can say no, like, oh, I'm not sure or whatever, but like you have to just go for it.
Persistence is key.
Persistence and consistency. Who's got my money?
Right? Thank you, Grant Cardone.
We have a poster on the wall here that says, "Who's got my money?" which is pretty perfect for this moment. All right, so let's talk about mindset. So important, right? So what does mindset mean to you guys? And
That's such a good one.
how important do you think it is, right?
Yeah, I think it's like so important. Like I feel like your mindset is like pretty much everything. Cause like what you said, you're like, oh, you wake up one day and you're like, yesterday I like slayed, I was such a boss babe, you know? And then it's like a whole other new day. So it's like every day you have to like train yourself. I feel like that's like one thing like me and my fiance talk about all the time is like that training, like that self-discipline, because that's like what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
It's like your own like self-mastery because no one's like in charge of you but you.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess if you have like a job and you have to show up, like that really helps, you know? But it's like you really have to just like be able to make yourself want to do better. And I think like what we've mentioned so much, like I just really try to train my mindset by having like a goal or like something like a list every day just to like keep yourself in action, because if you don't have that, then that's like where things go wrong. Like we always talk about, it's actually like a Grant Cardone thing, but like white space on the calendar. So like that's like something like the team here is like never allowed to have white space on the calendar, because like how that promotes your mindset is like you always are going into something next, which doesn't leave the room for like the negative thoughts to creep in. Like have you ever noticed like when you're still, like sometimes when you're like meditating or you feel great or whatever, stillness is amazing. I'm not saying like drive yourself into like always being doing something, but like that's when like the room for that
It's
negative
intentional stillness. Right?
Exactly. Like there's a difference, right? But like if you've always got something on the go, that's why people are like, you're so busy. But it's like, yeah, but like that actually allows me to produce more because I don't take myself out by getting sad or upset, because I'm just like always so focused on like where we're going. And I think like it's really cool to be surrounded by people who have a similar mindset as you, because they think the same, or they're like trying to achieve the same thing. So then you don't have anyone like counter intentioning like what you're doing, because that can also be like really like negative for your mindset. If you have someone who's like, you know, wanting to go out every Friday night and party, or, you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Sometimes I like a good party with alcohol or whatever, like, you know, but for me right now, that's not one of my goals. So I wouldn't go and hang out with someone that has that mindset. Right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Define exactly what your priorities, your goals, your values are, and then choose people that kind of fall in line with similar things.
Yeah.
So that you're constantly kind of inspiring each other to keep going.
Yeah.
And if you keep yourself busy, which that's awesome, you're not going to leave time to kind of, you know, go through Instagram and scroll and go through that rabbit hole and all that stuff, or, you know, kind of sit there and then start thinking about all the stuff that you're not great at and what you shouldn't be doing and blah, blah, blah. And you're just too busy for that, right? You're achieving your goals, which then inspires you to keep moving even more further.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we have like lots of fun with that together.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think like for me, like I look at the people that are more successful than me, and I see like what are the habits that they have and what are they doing, and I kind of like try and implement those strategies in my life. Like I have a morning routine every single day where I wake up before the household and, you know, I meditate and I do affirmations, and then I go to the gym, and then I come home and take my daughter to school. So that's kind of like what I do all before like anyone wakes up in the house. But if I sleep in and I wake up at the same time as everybody else, I just noticed that my day wasn't going quite as smoothly and I wasn't as motivated. And so that's something that I've kind of like trained myself to do. And I don't like to get up early like instinctively, but now I love it. Like that's my time, and like that's when I'm most productive and effective. And so it started by just like waking up at 15 minutes earlier than I was used to, and I kind of did it gradually. And then
Amazing.
yeah, now I'm up every day at like 5:30 and I'm getting all that stuff done, and it feels really good. And yeah, Megan and I are doing a mastermind right now, which is really good. It's called Project in Charge. And one of the things that they do is they do a planner that you plan out your day the night before. So like a lot of the things that like learned in the past was that like in the morning when I would wake up, I would plan out my day. But that's like actually like you're behind if you're doing that. So if you can kind of like set up your day and write it down and have everything on paper, then it's not taking up space in your mind and you're not feeling like kind of scattered and stuff like that.
good.
So yeah, that's something that I've been doing. It seems to help.
I love it.
Yeah.
I always find that if I don't have a list, which I live by lists, but if you don't have a list and kind of a plan for your day, you're done.
You're done. Yes.
And nothing's gonna go like well, really.
true.
Like I'm totally all over the place mentally and I don't achieve much. And then I just kind of sit there.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've been really, like, that's been really helpful is, like, I always put the hardest thing to do at the number one. So I get it out of the way first thing. Because for me, it's like, oh, it's too hard. I'll just quit. I'll be like, okay, well, whatever. And I won't do it. And then I never get anything done. But if you can sit there and you can, like, persevere through it and you get that first thing done, then you feel like you're on fire. And then everything else is just easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
This other book that I was reading that I just finished, she actually talks about a challenge where you track for 7 days every minute of the day of what you're spending time on. And then you determine at the end of the 7 days, you kind of review it and you see, what am I doing every day that doesn't fall in line with my overall goals and what do I want to achieve in my values? And then you take that out and the amount of time that you can win back in your week and in your day is ridiculous. So I've been doing that like on a smaller scale. I'm going to start on Monday to have that full week.
Ooh, I like
but
that.
I've already gotten like an hour and a bit
That's awesome.
in each day, right? Which is awesome. And then you can put that towards actually things that are going to be productive, right? So I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Finding time to
Yeah.
do what you want to do. So I'm a big believer in beliefs kind of lead to your thoughts, and then your thoughts determine kind of what you attract into your life, whether that's good, whether that's really bad. But what are some common beliefs that you kind of see in your community? So at these events that you're having and with women sharing, kind of what do you see is kind of like a common thing that people are experiencing?
I think like not being good enough is like a big one because everybody just kind of feels like everyone else is better than them, or I don't know if that's just because I relate to that.
That's
so
what I
maybe
was
that's
going
what
to say too, actually.
you think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's something. And what else is a big one? Loving themselves.
Yeah.
Loving themselves is a big one. So we talk a lot about self-love in Project You because like if you don't love yourself, then you're not going to be, capable of loving other people and having healthy relationships. So I really believe that it starts with yourself.
Exactly,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So how do you help women kind of overcome that?
I think just like opening up the conversation and just like talking about just like that we all struggle with it, and we always like give them something to take away from the event. So when we're planning the event, we always plan out some sort of takeaway for people to implement in their lives when they go home, because a lot of events you can go to and you can feel really inspired, but they don't have any
no
action.
follow-through.
Yeah, there's no follow through. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm in agreement.
You're in agreement?
Yeah, in agreement.
Yeah. So the events always have like a very specific goal, like depending on what they are. We always try and like really just like, help them in some way.
Gotcha. So what do you think are important steps to take in creating that very healthy mindset that you need?
Affirmations have been really big for me.
So let's talk about affirmations.
Okay.
I'm a huge believer in
Okay.
affirmations
Yes.
as well. I grew up with them with my mom.
Yes.
That's cute.
Yes.
I know. I was always like, this is so stupid. But now I'm like, she was right.
Yeah. I know.
So what kind of affirmations do you do? Do you follow a book? Do you create your own? Like, how does that all work?
Well, I just started using this app, which has really been cool. It's called Think Up.
Okay.
And basically, like, you can pick a couple different affirmations and then you record it in your own voice and they play it on a loop with music in the background. So this is what I've started to do in the mornings because I can listen to my own voice and it's really powerful. And it just kind of like, gets you like with those positive feelings, right? Because it's like,
Cool.
So that's
And do you come up with your own affirmations, or do
they
you
have like different ones, or you can
okay.
record your own. So that's what I've been doing. But yeah,
That's awesome.
That's fun.
yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I love that. That's cute. I was like, Think Up. I want to download that.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I use a plan like a lot. Like just kind of like I love what she mentioned about the planner that we got from Project in Charge. But yeah, I usually just I focus together, Corey and I, we created something it's called a Nimbin scale. So it's really cool. It's a great tool, which I could share. So basically you map out your overarching goals and then every little thing that goes with it to achieve that those big purposes. So they may not be something that you're doing right now, but that's where you want to go. So then we line out and you make your own policy. So things that you would follow. So it might be going to bed by 10 p.m. Like Chelsea said, waking up at 6 a.m. So eating healthy. So you actually know everything that fits within that. And so we built that together. So I think that's really cool. So it's fun. You can do it with a couple or you could do it on your own. And then it's your own kind of little blueprint, I guess you could say. So you just know with everything that you're doing, does it actually fit into what we say our admin scale. And so if it doesn't, then it doesn't go. So it's you just it's nice because it you don't get confused.
Yeah.
Because I think confusion is the biggest thing that causes problems too with your mindset. When you're not really sure, right?
Crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of that study where they had plants in different rooms? There was 3 different plants and one of the plants was left alone. They were all watered and stuff like that. One of the plants, they said that positive things and that they loved it and just gave it lots of positive affirmations and said really, really nice things. And then the other plant, they were you suck, you're a loser, I hate you. And that plant was completely dried up and black and dead and that was the only variable. The other plant was green and thriving and growing so healthy, and the other one was kind of just it was whatever it was.
Yeah, no,
in the middle.
It's so I think that's so I've actually seen that.
You have really seen that, cool. Right?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just kind of goes to show that if you're telling yourself those negative things all the time, what is it doing to you, right?
Oh, for sure. I think it affects your physical state 100%. Being your own best friend is something, I think it's cheesy, but
totally.
I think that's really important. So I try to you have to be your friend first.
Yeah.
With the plants.
Totally. Nurturing your little Chelsea, protecting her and giving her the type of love that I would give to my daughter or would give to my best friend. That's what I always say to myself. I'm would I say this to Megan, the way that I talk to myself? And the answer is no. Would I ever talk to my daughter like that? No. So why am I talking to myself like that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's it doesn't serve me. I know from experience that it doesn't benefit me in any way. So.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to be aware.
Self-awareness.
Be aware of what you're saying to yourself. Be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with. Just be aware and reflect constantly. It's not just one thing that you can achieve and then just be done with it. It's every day to just be on top of it. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
All right, so fear. I hate fear. It rules a lot of our lives. It plays a huge part in stopping us from moving forward in all areas, really, of our lives. So how do you suggest that women move past those fears so that they can, go after their dreams or, just basically anything, really?
I think first you have to identify what the fear is, right? And then for me, it was just taking action. It was social anxiety and public speaking were my biggest fears. And I was there's no way I can ever do it. So I just avoided situations that I would ever have to do that. And I was why would I? I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it. But the reason that I wanted to do it was because if you're able to push past those fears and do it anyways, I still feel super nervous when I'm up there. And it is getting a little bit easier, but I still have those feelings. But because I'm pushing myself through it, once I do it, I feel so much better about myself. But if I was to avoid it or quit or not do it, then I would just feel like shit.
Yeah, I agree with the just doing it. You have to take action on it. Also too, one thing actually came from Grant Cardone, but I do use it and I think it's super valuable. It's if you think of something, do it now. Obviously maybe not everything you can do right away, but it's so true. I was at dinner with a friend and she's let's go rock climbing. I'm okay, let's book it now. You know what I mean? Or you just kind of have to do it before you don't do it. you
Allow
know,
yourself to think it through a little bit more and then stop yourself.
right? Like, I mean, obviously there's a time and place to be like rational. Like, not everything that you think of is maybe something you should do, but like really just like not adding time to the equation, like learning to like control time so like you don't put yourself in like that fear state, because like the more time that passes, you don't do it, right? So it's like if you can just like act on it, then you're like golden, you know? Because if not, like it's like, okay, making a phone call, for instance. The more you think about making the phone call that you don't want to make, you end up not making it. So it's like you just pick up the phone and dial, and then you're like, okay, you know what I mean? It's happening, it's going, and then you're good, and something great usually happens. And like the more that you show up for yourself, like the more you believe in what you're doing and what you're capable of, and then you're like less fearful, I think, right? Like,
And then it goes away.
Yeah.
I think.
That's so true. I have like this huge fear of talking into microphones. And if you're a podcaster,
Yeah, girl.
right? But just like actually talking on a microphone, like an actual one in public, has always been kind of like one of my things.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Don't give yourself that time to think about it. So this one time I was at this event and I had the answer for the thing, so I was like, you're just gonna do it. So then my hand just went up, and I'm like, sitting there like thinking to myself, I'm like, my hand's up. Like, what the hell's my hand doing? And I'm like, oh crap, don't pick me. Right? And obviously the person picks me, and then it just goes silent. And you're like, oh crap, it's coming.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
Right? You just kind of get over it as long as you like push yourself through
Totally.
it, and don't give yourself time to talk yourself out of it unless it's like a bad thing that you're about to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking to a microphone is a hard one for sure. And like I've definitely like gone up there on Project You, and like I haven't been like super happy with like the way that things came out, my delivery or like what I said, and I'm like, oh my god, why did I say that? I'm so stupid. But then I'm like, no, it's okay. I did it, and I'm just gonna like learn from that, and like next time I'm gonna try again. I'm just gonna keep trying.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just keep trying. Keep doing it.
I know that feeling when the room goes silent and you're like, holy shit. You're like, this is it. Like, okay, I have to say something now.
It feels like crickets. Right?
Yeah.
Like everyone's just
staring at you, and you're like,
Oh.
it's very
just
interesting.
don't freeze. So just say something.
All right, so networking. So your events, it's networking on a personal level, on a business level. I want to talk about the importance that you guys feel that it has on your business and on your personal life.
Yeah, networking's huge. Like, so getting out to events and meeting people in person has been like such a game changer for me. Like I said, it's not the easiest thing, but I've met like so many people. Like Van City Business Babes, I think was the first networking event that I went to when I had my old business. And I met so many people through that have been like huge supporters, and we became really great friends. So like I met Ada from there. She runs Jam PR, and she's been like a great friend of mine ever since. And she was doing my social and my PR when I had my other business, and that's how I met Megan. So it's just like the connections that you make in person are so much stronger. Or what do you think? Then like when you're just like online, just like, hey, blah blah blah, when you can put a face to it, it's like it's on another level.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I think that it's huge. Like, it's so important. That's how I met everyone. Like, I think about that. I'm like, if I didn't do Project You, I'm like, I would know both of you. I wouldn't know anyone. And I think about, like, my friends, too, that are people who have volunteered and were part of it, too. I'm like, they're all running businesses that came from networking.
That's
right?
awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it's important.
Push yourself to go out there to any event that's in line with your personal beliefs or your business.
Yeah.
Definitely is important. I definitely have to do that myself. So I'm always like, I'm sure other people are feeling this too. You felt this, going to an event by yourself, you're like, who are you going to talk to? How do you even approach people? Are they even going to want to talk to you? Do they even care?
Especially when you don't drink, it's even harder.
Oh, I know.
A lot of people are nervous, and they're like, okay, I just like kind of takes the edge off. But I'm like, I'm feeling all the edges here.
It's so true. Like when you're sober, you have
There's no
release.
hiding.
Yeah.
But you totally like networking, like you get out what you put in for sure. So if you go to the networking event with the intention that you're going to talk to people and that you're going to meet them, and you're like, you're going to put yourself out there, then you're going to get like such a better results. Like I tell all my friends that like are in business when they're like, oh, well, like how do I meet people? How do I grow my business? And the number one thing I tell them is like, you need to get out there and you need to get known and you need to go introduce yourself to people, because like you never know who you're going to talk to, and like the connections that you make, like that might just be the person that, you know, like that could help you get to the next level in your business.
Yeah, you're really, really good at it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Networking queen.
See what you've become.
Yes.
Awesome. So what does a Project You event look like? So for someone who hasn't attended yet, that is kind of interested in going, maybe a little bit scared, what can they expect so that we can take that fear aspect right out of the equation so that they come?
Well, it's a very supportive environment for people. So it's just very warm, and, you know, like I talk to everybody that comes in. So like, it's not like you're not ever feeling like nobody wants to talk to you. Like everybody's very, very friendly, and everyone has the same kind of common goal and purpose, is to support one another. So everyone that's there is, you know, just on the same mission. So our events, like since I've taken over, they've been, you know, like trial and error for sure. I've tried like some different things maybe than you've done in the past. And they're always like, so Megan used to have all of her events at like the Highcroft, and they were kind of like all like nighttime events kind of, and like high teas and stuff like that. I've tried a couple smaller events. I tried a couple morning events at the beginning, which were really fun, and that were like more kind of what I was passionate about, with like meditation and mindfulness and stuff like that. But they all of the events tie back to our four main pillars, which is soul, voice, passion, and perception. So all of the topics are kind of chosen around those four main values, and just kind of like built around those. All staying true to the values.
Is it like a panel of like speakers and everyone kind of like listens with Q&A and whatnot? Do you have like vendors? Like, is there like kind of a mixer type thing at the beginning or at the end? So what does the structure of the event kind of look like?
Yeah, so they come in, usually we have like a registration desk, and there's vendors and sponsors that they can mingle with. And the vendors are like always really, really, really cool. Like we always really like try and curate local vendors that we really love, and that kind of like we think that our guests can get value from. So I just love that about our events, which is really cool. We do have panel talks. Sometimes we don't, but usually the style is a panel talk type of style. And sometimes we have keynote speakers. We always try and really make sure that our events are interactive so that we're engaging with our audience. So we're not just like talking at them, we're getting people involved. We like to do icebreaker activities so that we get people talking to each other. So like even if they are nervous or uncomfortable, like if they know what they're supposed to do, it kind of makes it easier sometimes to connect. And then we always have really great giveaways and prizes at the end, which is super fun. And people leave with great swag bags and takeaways, like I was talking about before. We always have some sort of takeaway for people to go home and implement in their lives right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what are some upcoming events for Project You that people can look forward to and maybe register for?
Yeah. So we have Project Impact coming up, which I'm super excited about. We are hosting it at the Arbutus Club. It'll be our first time hosting there, but it is an absolutely gorgeous venue. I'm super excited for that. And we have some really great speakers. So I'm just really interested in women who are making an impact with their brand. So we picked the speakers based on people that are doing really great things in the community and that I really admire. So we have Nira Aurora as our keynote speaker, which I'm really excited to hear from her. We have Rebecca Rashawn, who's the founder of Pivot and Pilot. She was responsible for all of our branding, and she does a lot of community
Tons of stuff
to support other women entrepreneurs, and she's just a really, really great person. We have Randa Saloom, who is the co-founder of Hey Archive, which is do you know what that is?
No.
It's like a consignment market that she's created, and also the founder of Seal Creative.
Oh yes.
You know her?
Know, yeah.
Yeah. So she's really she's a sustainability activist, I guess, which is something that I'm super passionate about. And we haven't announced this yet, but we just got like our third panelist, which I'm really excited about. We just got
Ashley Ray from Mala Collective, who does like the Mala beads. So they like were started here. They're like a really big company. We've been like wanting to work with them for a while and have her on. So I think it's like going to be really cool to have her. I can't wait to hear from her.
Really cool.
She doesn't do a lot of like, I haven't heard her speak before.
No.
So I think it's going to be good.
But she just did this really cool campaign called You Are Enough.
Yes.
And so I saw a lot of people that I really admire be part of this campaign, and I think like our missions really align in that way as well.
Oh yeah, that's going to be huge.
Yeah. And so we're gonna have appetizers from the Arbutus Club. We're gonna have drinks. We're gonna have really great vendors that are coming again. We've got great swag bag prizes and giveaways, and yeah, this one's gonna be really fun.
That's awesome. Sounds exciting. I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yes,
You
need
there.
to come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and then we have another one coming up as well. December 18th. It's called Styling Local. It'll be at the Highcroft. It'll be for all of the girls to kind of get together and just have a drink and like mingle before the holidays. And we're going to be featuring a lot of our favorite local vendors as well. It'll be more of like kind of a shopping party,
It's like a shopping
right?
party, yeah.
Yeah. So you can get
Doesn't like
those
to shop.
Exactly. You can get those last minute kind of Christmas gifts that, I don't know about you, but I'd put off shopping.
Me too.
Till the very last minute, and this is like the perfect time to get out there and support your local
Community, yeah.
women in business.
I'm so about local. I love local
There's
businesses.
gonna be so many good vendors there.
Yes.
You better come.
I know.
I'm like, don't even worry about your shopping needs. We got you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So lastly, if anybody wants to find you, where can they connect with you?
Well, you can find me on Project U's Instagram. That's kind of where I connect with most people online. It's at I am Project U, YOU. Or you can find me on Instagram under my personal Instagram, which is Chelsea Burwash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And then for me, just my Instagram mostly where I hang out, which is my first and last name. So Megan and then Ayers. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea and Megan, for taking the time to share your story, your passion, and experiences, but also for helping women create connections and overcome the obstacles that they face daily so that they can kind of achieve their goals and come into their own and feel confident. So I just love what you guys have created, and I love seeing kind of where you're going to take Project U going forwards, but I definitely love meeting both of you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. This was so fun.
It was so much fun. Thank
my
you.
first podcast. Check.
Nailed it.
I'm Jessica, and thanks for tuning in today to Love Unplugged, the podcast. If there are any questions or topics you'd love answered on the show, head on over to www.projectloveco.com and share your request with me. If you haven't yet, go to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with a loved one. Your feedback means the world to me, and the community we've created is what fuels our discussions here. After all, this is all for you. Join me next time for another unplugged conversation.